Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Sword and Shield Movesets video. Today's video is going to be all about the final evolution of the Fire Starter Pokemon, Cinderace. So let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Cinderace is a pure Fire-type Pokemon that has access to two abilities. The first of which being Blaze, which is the standard Fire Starter ability that boosts the power of your fire moves by 50% when you're at a third of your health or less. But more interesting than that is its hidden ability known as Libero, which is an ability that is the exact same effect of the Protean ability, and that it will turn you into the type of attack that you are about to use against your opponent before you use it, thus giving you the same type attack bonus on every single one of your moves. So the way that this works technically is that if you were to say go for a move like High Jump Kick, which is a fighting type move, rather than be a fire Pokemon using the fighting type move, you will turn into a fighting type Pokemon and then use High Jump Kick, which for the purposes of this Pokemon allows it to have insane type coverage and damage output on any set that it runs because you're going to get that stab boost on everything. But for its stats, to start off, this Pokemon in terms of defenses is okay. It has a base 80 HP, 75 defense, and 75 special defense, meaning that it's not really going to take hits super amazingly well, so you're really not going to be wanting to run it as a defensive Pokemon on your team. But for its offenses, it has a really great base 116 physical attack, which allows it to do a lot of damage with the very powerful physical attacks that it has, and also it has a base 119 speed stat, which allows this Pokemon to outspeed a ton of things on the battlefield, and thus really make use of that very powerful physical attacking stat. As for its special attack though, it's only base 65, but again, when you use the Libero ability with this Pokemon, regardless of using your special attacking stat, it is still actually very viable to use, even though it's significantly lower than the physical one, and I'll be showing you a set for that later on in this video. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the first set that I have for you. So for this first moveset, we're going to run Cinderace as a choiced physical attacker. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a Jolly Nature to increase its speed but lower its special attack. And for purposes of this video, I'm going to include the Libero ability as the preferred ability, even though it's not released yet, because once it is, you're always going to want to be using it. As for the EVs though, we're going to maximize our physical attack and speed by putting 252 EVs into both of those stats and then put the remainder 4 into its special defense. And for the item, because this is a choice set, we're either going to go with a choice band to boost our physical attack power by 1 stage while locking us into a move, or a choice scarf to boost our speed by 1 stage while locking us into a move. And for those moves, the first one that we're going to go with on this set is going to be Pyro Ball, which is a 120 base power fire type move with 90 accuracy that is the signature move of this Pokemon. And the best thing about this is that there's virtually no drawback to running this move like there would be with some other powerful fire type moves such as Flare Blitz, which has recoil associated with it. Along with this though, we're going to go ahead and run High Jump Kick, which is one of the most powerful fighting type moves in the game, which along with Pyro Ball gives you insane type coverage in and of itself to either hit everything neutrally or super effectively. And then along with this, we're going to go ahead and include Gunk Shot, Zen Headbutt, Iron Head, or Double Edge as an additional attacking option to allow this Pokemon essentially an easy way to just click a move and hit something incredibly hard, especially when taking its ability into account, which is going to be obviously giving you stab on everything. So really it just depends on what kind of type coverage you specifically need Cinderace to have, and that is the third option that you go with. And in the fourth move slot, you can technically run any of these options as well, but I'm just going to recommend U-Turn as the generic one to go with because it allows you to weave in and out of battle very easily, and also obviously gives you a powerful bug type attack to use, which is incredibly beneficial, especially on the switch out, because you're going to obviously turn into a bug type first, and then switch out, which is going to obviously again boost its power, making this Pokemon very deadly even when it's not planning on staying in. And that's one of the cool things about this Pokemon is that it's so powerful no matter what you do with it, and that's what makes a choice set even that more threatening, because you're boosting its physical attack power outright, or you're allowing it to outspeed things it normally wouldn't be able to. As for this next moveset, we're going to see what happens when we remove the choice item and essentially allow this Pokemon to switch up moves to deal insane amounts of damage to almost everything. So that's why I called this the pick 4 moves and win set, because you can literally pick any of the 4 moves I have listed on the screen right now and this set will work. So we're going to run the same ability with Libero here, which is really the crux of this whole thing. The same nature, the same EV spread, but for the item this time we have a few more different options. The first one being a Life Orb, which is going to boost the power of all of our attacks at the cost of losing 10% of our health every time we damage our opponent. An Expert Belt, which can also boost our power every time we damage an opponent with a super effective move, without the negative drawbacks of obviously the Life Orb. And then additionally for this set, we can run a couple of recovery options in the form of Leftovers or a Citrus Berry, and these are particularly interesting because this Pokemon is a fire type, which does give it a Stealth Rock weakness. So having Leftovers or a Citrus Berry on hand can be very beneficial for allowing this Pokemon to potentially switch in 1 or 2 more times if your opponent does have hazards up on the field. But the last option, and probably the weakest option, but still one to potentially consider, is running an Assault Vest on this set, since we are using 4 attacking moves, so having that added special defense boost can potentially come in handy depending on what Cinderace is matched up against. But I'm just going to go ahead and list off all these moves here, because again, all 4 of them, no matter which combination of those 4 you choose, is going to work. So, Pyro Ball, High Jump Kick, Zen Headbutt, Iron Head, Acrobatics, Gunk Shot, Sucker Punch, Quick Attack, Double Edge, Super Fang, and U-Turn are all essentially the main physical attacks that this Pokemon has access to, and all of them do something amazing for this Pokemon, and it really just depends again on what type of coverage you need on your particular team, or what you imagine Cinderace is going to need in order to potentially successfully pull off a sweep, or just be able to damage things for at least neutral damage. But I want to draw special attention to Quick Attack and Sucker Punch, as these are both priority moves, which make revenge killing this Pokemon very difficult because it has access to, theoretically, a Stab Normal and a Stab Dark priority move, both of which are going to do a lot of damage in and of themselves and make it harder for your opponent to KO you, especially if they're at a lower range of health. The other one I also want to draw attention to is Super Fang, because this move also is very interesting in its application, because what it does is essentially just removes 50% of your opponent's current health. And this can be amazing because it just allows you freely to just click this move and take away a chunk of HP of your opponent, and then after they switch in, you can figure out, hey, do I have a super effective move to hit this, and then KO them, or if they don't, just switch out. And in doing so, it does remove a coverage move, but it does make predicting switches a lot easier and something to potentially consider. But all in all, as long as you include literally any combination of these 4 moves, this Pokemon is going to do work for your team and deal insane amounts of damage to anything because of its ability. As for this next moveset, we're going to go ahead and talk about what happens if we forego a coverage move in favor of a boosting move to make this Pokemon a little bit more threatening to deal with. So again, we're going to go at the same nature, the same ability, and the same EV spread, but for this particular set, I'd recommend either a Life Orb or Leftovers as your item, just because it'll either boost your power or give you a little bit more survivability while you attempt to set up, or even give you more opportunities to set up. So the main thing with this particular set is that in our first move slot, we're going to run a boosting move in the form of either Bulk Up to boost our physical attack and our physical defense 1 stage every time we use it, Agility to boost our speed by 2 stages when we go for it, or Flame Charge, which is a physical fire type move that will also boost your speed when you damage your opponent. Now this is actually interesting because if you want to use Flame Charge and then not run Pyro Ball, you would still have a fire coverage move, but it would also be boosting your speed, which is something interesting to consider, but chances are Agility and Bulk Up are going to be just the better options for most sets that you're going to be running. But again, for this set, we have Pyro Ball, High Jump Kick, Gunk Shot, Zen Headbutt, Iron Head, Sucker Punch, and Quick Attack as the main options to go with for your 3 moves that you select after your boosting move. And again, it's important to note that, having that priority with Sucker Punch and Quick Attack can be very, very beneficial for allowing you to clean up at the end of a game. So with this, we lose 1 potential coverage move, but we allow the moves that we have to hit a little bit harder. So it really, again, depends on the type coverage that you need for your team and what you think this Pokemon is most going to benefit on this particular set. This set also, especially when combined with Bulk Up, makes this an amazing Pokemon to use when Dynamaxed because of the obvious HP increase that you get with that and the defense boost that you get from using Bulk Up, making this Pokemon a lot more difficult to take down from physical attackers. Also, when using High Jump Kick with the set, while Dynamaxed, it will turn into Max Knuckle, which actually boosts your physical attack further, thus making this Pokemon very threatening even if you ran the Agility variant of the set. So there's a lot of different things that you can consider with this particular set that allow it to have a lot of flexibility in the way that it sets up on its opponents, but one thing to keep in mind is that no matter which boosting move you use and which type combination you use, this Pokemon is very, very good at just coming in and sweeping through things after it's gotten a boost or 2. Now, in addition to foregoing a type coverage move in order to boost your own stats, you can also do the same thing for a set like this to provide a little bit of team support. So for this moveset, we're again going to run the same nature, ability, and EVs as before, but for the item, we're either going to include a focus sash on the set to make it so that you can live any attack from full health, which lets the set be very good in the lead position, or leftovers just as a way to allow you to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn, which is beneficial for a set like this since we are trying to support our team through a couple of things, and we're going to probably take a little bit more damage on the set than we normally would because we're not going to be quite as powerful. And those support options that we have for this Pokemon on this set are going to be Court Change and Taunt. Court Change is another really unique move that this Pokemon has access to that swaps field effects from your side of the field to your opponent's and vice versa. What this can really do, though, is that it actually, if your opponent potentially has Light Screen or Reflect or Aurora Veil up, and you use Court Change, you then gain those screens on your side of the field, which is absolutely amazing for just shutting down teams that are trying to, prevent extra damage from occurring. This also, interestingly enough, works with entry hazards. So if your opponent happened to set up rocks or something on your side of the field and you use Court Change, they are now on your opponent's side of the field, which is very, very cool, and why this can actually function really well as a lead, because it will essentially allow you, if your opponent is trying to lead off with their hazard setter, to swap them to your opponent's side of the field. And that's just an amazing utility option in general. But along with this, again, we have the same attacking options here. I also included Counter, though, which can be very interesting when combined with the fact that this Pokemon has a Focus Sash. So Counter can be very interesting when used with this, because if your opponent damages you with a physical move in the lead spot, you can automatically survive it because of the Focus Sash and just counter and deal pretty much your opponent's full health damage back to them, provided they're not a ghost type. So that's actually a cool little other gimmick that we can use with this set, but I also included U-Turn again as well, because it's useful to be able to move in and out of battle like you would on some of the other sets for this one, because we're trying to provide a little bit of team support, and some of that support can come through just allowing you to gain switch initiative. Finally, for the last moveset of this video, I'm going to be showing off a specially offensive set that this Pokemon can run that is very unique because it gives you some different type coverage options that the physical set does not, and thus actually allows you to beat some of the counters to the physical set that you would normally be matched up against. So for this set, we're going to run either a Timid Nature to boost our speed but lower our physical attack, or a Naive Nature to boost our speed but lower our special defense, go with the Libero ability again, and an EV spread of 252 special attack EVs this time, along with the 4 special defense and 252 speed EVs to give you your maximum special attack and speed possible. And for the item on the set, I would recommend either Choice Specs to boost your special attack while locking you into a move, or a Life Orb to boost the power of all of your attacks at the cost of losing 10% of your health every time we damage your opponent. And I personally actually believe that just Life Orb is the better option here, but Choice Specs can be a viable option as well. For this set, though, since we're running special attacking moves, Fire Blast is going to be our fire type move of choice here, and then additionally with this, we're going to go ahead and run Electro Ball, which is a very unique move that this Pokemon has access to. For those that don't know how this works, basically the faster you are than your opponent, the more powerful Electro Ball is. And because this Pokemon isn't like super duper blazingly fast, you're more or less going to have an Electro Ball that's in between the 80 base power and 120 base power range. Now, an electric type move is not something that this Pokemon gets on the physical side, so what this does allow you to do actually is have a way of dealing with potential bulky waters that can deal with your physical sets, namely something like Toxapex, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But the other great thing about Electro Ball is because it's just an electric move in and of itself, if you were to Dynamax this particular Cinderace, what happens is you get the max version of the electric type special attack that is not based on speed whatsoever, and will also simultaneously set up electric terrain, thus boosting the power of future electric moves that you go for. Additionally with this though, we have Focus Blast and Shadow Ball as additional coverage options, and I want to again draw attention to Shadow Ball as this is something you don't have access to on a physical set, so this is particularly noteworthy for this one as it will give you some ghost type coverage, again potentially against a ghost type or even a psychic type that can deal with your physical moveset. And then lastly, for the last move slot, we can either go with U-Turn again as an option just to weave in and out of battle and deal a significant amount of bug damage in the process. This is also beneficial to run the Naive Nature with because it won't reduce the power of your physical U-Turn, and your physical attack is just good by itself, so why reduce it if you don't have to. But the last also option we can run is Workup, which is the only way this Pokemon really has to boost its special attack, and a +1 Workup boosted Electro Ball with a Life Orb actually is enough damage to one-hit KO a specially defensive Toxapex, which is a Pokemon that is all over the place right now at the beginning of Generation 8. So this move is just insanely good to have for purposes of just increasing your special attacking power, and again, allowing you to get the jump on some Pokemon that may be able to deal with your physical sets, but not a special one like this, even though your special attack is the weaker of your 2 offensive stats. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video on Cinderace. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, be sure to take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.